welcome back to my channel. It is Christian here, and you're tuned in for more of my 2 cents. If this is your first time watching me, thank you so much. I appreciate you for coming over to my part of the YouTube verse and checking me out, all right? I hope I will meet the standard of ratchetness that YouTube provides, okay? No ratchetness over here, but great conversation for sure. And if this is your second, third, or 97th time watching the videos, shout out to you! Because you're a part of the My 2 Cents crew. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, okay? We would love for that to be a part of what you do today and checking off supporting a Black-owned YouTube channel. All right? All right. I am excited about today's topic. It's going to be a story time. I haven't given y'all a story time in a minute. I think the last time I gave y'all a story time was when my pastor lied about buying a house. And that was a good story time. And my story times be in-depth because it be layered, okay? People do stuff wrong, and then it gets right. It gets right because forgiveness is for you. And I am a living witness and testimony of that truth, that forgiveness is for you, all right? So no matter what other people do, if you can make it through it and forgive them, even if you never get a sorry, child, choose that, okay? Choose the sorry that you never got so that you can move on and get all that is for you. So 3 points that I like to make before I get started on any topic or conversation. Number 1, you're not alone. Number 2, you're not crazy. Number 3, God, your creator, still loves you. And I do too. Okay, let's do this. So I am 34 now, but my husband and I got married when we were 21 years old in 2009. Check out the video that I did about that last week, I believe, sharing getting married at a young age and how it saved me. Okay, I love that story. I love it, love it, love it. Anyway, so we got married at 21. We dated for 3 years prior to that. So we started dating in my senior year of high school when I was 18 and, well, I was 17 going on 18. And he was already out of high school. So he graduated 2005. I graduated 2006 from high school. And we were long distance. I'm from Indiana. He's from Mississippi. And we met, and I'm giving y'all this backstory to get y'all to the, So we met in church. My uncle, God rest that man's soul. I'm not going to say his name. But God rest his soul. He just passed away this year. And I still can't believe it. God rest my uncle's soul. Pastor in Mississippi, where I met my husband because his family were members at my uncle's church. And we began dating in 2006. And it was definitely a weird connection because I had always known his mother. I always knew his grandmother, his auntie, and his sister, his little sister. But I ain't never see him. Like, it was like, bro, what was you hiding? Because I knew all of them, but I didn't know you belonged to them. And so it would be 2006 that we would like formally meet, connect out of all of the years that I've been going to my uncle's church and going to Mississippi for spring breaks and for summer vacations, because that was the only place my mother could afford to take the 4 of her children for vacation, Mississippi. The only place. And she would get all 4 of us, and it was family of 5, 4 children and my mother, and we would get on the Greyhound bus and ride to Mississippi for 16, 17 hours, and we would have the best times in Mississippi. I loved Mississippi growing up. And so Courtney and I would meet finally, and we would connect. We would start dating. We would start dating long distance. And it was a cute situation. Like, it was a really cute love story. I'm not going to take y'all down there through it, but it was a really cute love story. But it also came with drama, you know? It came with drama. And I'm sharing how much I loved Mississippi growing up and going down there because it was a huge highlight in our year. That was the only time that we got to leave Gary, Indiana. And that was the only place my mother could afford to take all 5 of us to just get away from the city for a long time. And so I would become extremely close with my cousins. And this is a story about envy and jealousy and how it literally tore apart a relationship that I thought I would have forever. Forever, y'all. And my last video was about jealousy, but this video is about envy, and I'm correlating it to a story time that literally tore apart a part of our family that has never been the same since then. And so growing up, we would go to Mississippi, and me and my cousins and my siblings, we were so close. I mean, we would sing Kirk Franklin and the family songs for Easter Sunday, child. We would sit at the table. We would eat dinner. We would eat Sunday dinner. We would eat nightly dinner. Whatever they had, we had. There was nothing that my uncle and my auntie would not do for me and my siblings and for my mother. They knew my mother was a single mom. Whenever we would go to Mississippi, we had the best time. My mama didn't have to pull out her wallet. They would pay for everything. When we went out to eat dinner, they paid for their family of 5, because they had 3 kids and then husband and wife, and then my mother's family of 5. So my uncle would pull out his wallet and pay for everything. If we went to the Chinese buffet, we was all eating from the Chinese buffet. If we went to Bonanza, which was a steakhouse like Ponderosa, if you're used to it in the Midwest, everybody was getting a steak they wanted, the chopped steak, the buffet, whatever. They never spared an expense when it came to my mother and our family. And I'm going to try not to get emotional because the memories are beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful memories. Beautiful memories. And so we would go and we would stay for weeks and for months during the summer. And we would have so much fun. It was a house of 9 children, 3 adults, and 7 children, 3 adults. And we never got into arguments. We never fought. We weren't jealous of each other. We, would play all day, all night. We sing. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful, beautiful family relationship and connection. And so it would be me coming down there for, spring break with my mom when I was in my senior year. Because by the time my other siblings got old enough, they didn't want to go to Mississippi no more. So I'm the youngest. So I was the only one still in high school at this point, and I still was going to Mississippi with my mama. It was a tradition, and it was still going on. I was the last one, and that's when I met my husband. And so Courtney was a musician at my uncle's church. He was a keyboardist, a keyboard player. And we met, and we hit it off. And so my cousin, who was the same age as me, and my best friend, like she was the other sister to the 2 that I got in love already. My best friend. I love, love, love this girl. She had a boyfriend too. And I thought that I was in the clear because we never had any problems. We never had any problems. Nothing. We weren't even around each other long enough to even have problems, I don't think, because I would only be down there for a couple of weeks or a month or so, and then I'd go back to Indiana. And we didn't talk on the phone back in the day like that, so we would only see each other again next year, and we would live it up the next year. But things changed when I got with my husband. Well, he was then my boyfriend when I got with Courtney. I didn't know that clearly there were feelings there, that she had for him, that she liked him, had a crush on him or whatever. She never told me, but her actions later on would prove to be true. And it would be to my detriment. It would be to my hurt. That the envy would stem and go so deep that it would be to destroy the potential of us being together, my husband and I. And so I'll fast forward through that. We started dating in 2006. By 2007, I had finished my first year of school at Purdue at home in Indiana, which was my mother's desire. She was like, just do your first year at home. She wanted all of us to do our first year of college at home, which I understand and I respect now because you're still a kid. Like you was just asking for permission to go to the bathroom in June, boo. Don't get too grown by September. Stop it. So I did my first year at home. And by that time, I wanted to leave. I was like, I want to go to Mississippi State. I want to be closer to Courtney. We were just doing long distance. We were just talking on the phone, seeing each other whenever I would, get back to Mississippi or whatever. And I wanted to be closer to him. I'm 19. Like, let me go. See, it's like, let my wings soar. So I went to Mississippi State, stayed on campus, paid all of them crazy out-of-state fees on top of tuition. And I had a good scholarship. Like I had a 4-year scholarship in Indiana to go to any school in Indiana for free. It was called the 21st Century Scholar Grant or something like that. Where if you maintained certain grades in high school, you can literally go to any Indiana school for free. And that was based off of my mom's income and stuff too. But I gave that up to go to Mississippi State and pay for college and take out loans. And so I would get there, and my cousin would be going to Mississippi Women's University. Yeah, MUW, Mississippi University for Women, which was in a neighboring city. So I was in Starkville, Bulldogs, go Dogs. And she was at the school in Columbus, I believe. MUW was in Columbus, Mississippi. Anyway, so we would ride down to school together every weekend. After every weekend, we would ride back to Mississippi to the city that we were in, that they lived in, Tupelo. I'll say the city. We would ride back to Tupelo together. Then on Monday, we pack it up, drive back to our dorm room. She would drop me off at Mississippi State. Then she would keep going down the highway to Columbus to her school. And all the while, I didn't know that she was like going back home during the weekdays. Like she was going to see her boyfriend, but she wasn't telling me she was going back home. Knowing good and well, I was out of state by myself. I was staying in a dorm room by myself, didn't know anybody on campus. And I was lonely, but I didn't know, like I just knew to adapt to my environment. But she was still going back and forth to Tupelo without me and wasn't telling me. And things would transpire where Courtney and I did make it, child. We broke up. He was a clown, okay? Shout out to homie. And young and immature. And so I went back to Indiana. I was never raised to be insecure or to chase boys. So I had a confidence about myself that said that if you're not doing right or acting right or treating me right, I got options and I can go back to the crib. Okay, so I did. I called my mama. I was like, Mom, I'm ready to come home. I don't want to be here anymore. My mom, say less. Sis came and got your girl. Okay, so I only stayed at Mississippi State for one semester because he was acting up. And I was pulling out. Like, you not finna mistreat me. Like, it ain't finna happen. I had lost weight. I was stressed out. I was failing all of my classes. Like, my GPA was like a 1.7. That was the lowest my GPA had ever been. But I was love struck. I was young. And I was in my first relationship. And I wanted to be all about him. But I still knew my value and my worth. And so I left. And clearly my cousin and her mother had no problem with me leaving because I was no longer a threat, which I didn't know I was a threat to them at the time. I'm a kid, so I'm just doing me. But they had problems with me. They didn't like that me and Courtney were dating. And I would go on to find out that my auntie wanted my cousin to be with him. This was why it was a come back home during the weekday, don't tell Christian, don't go get Christian from Mississippi State kind of mission, because she obviously wanted more time to be in my then boyfriend's presence, right? And it was sad once I would come into the knowledge of this because I didn't know that this was the motive. I didn't know that this was happening. So I went back home to Indiana, and Courtney and I were broken up for this time period. And I was devastated. I was so hurt. I was lovesick, y'all. Like I was crying all the time once I got back home. I was, locking myself into closets, and I could not grasp, like, what was his problem? Like, what is going on? Why are you doing this to me? And they didn't make it any better. Like, my cousin would call me. She would tell me everything he was doing, if he was seeing someone else or talking to someone else, or they pretty much made it seem like he was just out of control down there, wilding out, hoeing for the Lord. Okay. He was just, according to them, he was out there with everybody. Okay. And so it really was hurting me and tearing me up. And I trusted them. So I never questioned whether or not the truth was being told. Like, I just believed all of it. And it wouldn't be until 2008, because I was there from 2007, like from September 2007 until December 2007 was that semester. And I moved back home in January. And so I moved back home. Well, I was back home by the holiday, actually, because the semester ended in December. And then I came back home at the end of December, so I was home for the holiday. And it just was breaking my heart how they were telling me Courtney was doing all of these things. And it never in my mind registered that they were lying, making things up, didn't want us together. I wasn't getting that kind of energy from it. I was young, and I just loved them and believed that they wanted what was best for me. And the mother was even in on it. So my auntie was even in on it. She was even telling my mama things about him. And so it really made it true. Like, what adult would be in on some foolery with kids? But she was. So 2008 would roll around and Courtney and I would stay broken up the whole 2008, like beginning part of the year. But me and my mother we still made our annual spring break trip. 2008 rolls around. I go back to Tupelo, Mississippi for a spring break. Courtney and I see each other again. Sparks fly. Ooh, we get back together, kind of. We didn't start back officially dating, but we started talking again. So we hadn't really been talking at all from January till, well, no, from the time I left, like November, December, to like February, March. No. April, because I went down there in April. So we didn't talk from like November to April, really. We weren't in any kind of relationship, maybe a text here and there. I don't even recall that, but I was getting a lot of updates about him, clowning, being out there with other girls, doing whatever he wanted to do, and it was just tearing my little heart up, child. So April would come, I would go back to Tupelo, Mississippi, we would reconnect. Why we do that for? It was a problem. Now, I should have seen the red flags when he had gave me a promise ring. Courtney gave me a promise ring in 2006 or 2007, I believe, before all of the stuff transpired with him and I dating and me leaving Mississippi State. He gave me a promise ring. And it was the cutest little diamond. I still have it from Kay's Jewelers. He went and bought me this ring from Kay's Jewelers. And it sent them into a frenzy, which I believe probably started it all when they saw that he was serious. Because they'd always known him. He was in church with them, but he had never obviously taken anyone this serious before. And they just couldn't fathom that a girl from out of state would come and take the last great band they had in the church. I don't get it. But anyway, so I ended up giving him back the promise ring. We broke up, whatever. April comes. I go back down there. We start back talking. And the year would go on, and September would come. No, August. Let's give it August. Mid-August would come. And I'm back talking to Courtney. Okay, we talking again. We dating again. And I get a text message on a little BlackBerry Curve, child, because at the time BlackBerry Curves was the thing. I get a little text message on my BlackBerry Curve. And it's from a boy that goes to my uncle's church, and he's telling me, hey, Christian, I have something I need to tell you. It's, really been bothering me, and I want to get this off my chest. Now, I'm confused because this is like a 14-year-old boy. I am 19 years old, so I don't know what you want to say, and I don't know how you have my number, but what you want. So I'm like, okay, what does he want? Because I don't even know him like that. Like, he goes to my uncle's church in Mississippi. I'm back home in Indiana. Why is he texting my phone? And why is he telling me he has something he wants to get off my chest? He feels so bad. So he starts texting me and telling me about this plot that my cousin concocted to catch Courtney up in some form of a homosexual scandal with this 14-year-old. Now, mind you, Courtney is 19. I'm 18, 19. Because we are the same age for a little bit before he turns a year older. And so this young boy was texting me and telling me that my cousin, he used her name, had come up with this plan for him to ask to spend the night with Courtney, and that if he tried to touch you in any inappropriate way, you call me and I'll come get you. So this was her little setup, that she was going to try to make Courtney out to be a homosexual who preys on minors. So obviously it didn't happen. The boy said he declined the plan. He didn't want to do it. And so I'm sitting at home in Indiana looking at my phone like, what is this? Like, what are you talking about? And I'm confused. So I immediately call Courtney and I'm like, such and such is texting me, telling me all this stuff, whatever. And so Courtney is like confused, flabbergasted, and we're just like, this is insanity. Now, mind you, my mother is in Mississippi at the time as well to preach. So I wasn't there, but my mother was there. So we're talking about the middle or end of August that this happens. And me and Courtney just started back talking in April of this year. So I'm like, wow, should I have even messed with him again? Because this is some drama and I don't have time for this. And so I'm like, why would she do this? Like, what is going on? Now, mind you, at this time, I don't know anything about her liking him. I didn't know that the things she had told me in the past when we were broken up were lies. I didn't know any of this, but this all started coming together once I got this message from this young boy. I was like, I'm thinking to myself, so was any of what she told me when me and Courtney were broken up true? Like, what is this? Why would she try to plan and put this on him? He's not even gay. I'm confused. Why is this the narrative? So we get on the phone because I want to know. Shout out to Joe. I want to know what's going on. Like, what are y'all doing? Like, what are you doing? This boy just sent me a text saying that you tried to set this stuff up for him to, like, catch Courtney in some fool-la-la. She denies it, of course. He crazy. Da-da-da, this. It actually just came out that he, likes boys himself. And this is a 14-year-old kid that we're talking about. And we are young adults. Even though we're still in our teens, we're young adults. So for me, I'm like, why would this 14-year-old reach out to me? I'm almost 20 and tell me something like this. If he didn't, like, why would he make that up and then tell someone he's never talked to like that the truth, or tell someone that story? So I'm still trying to get for the benefit of the doubt, but that wouldn't work. I call my mama, and when I get my mama involved, you best believe it's getting solved. Okay, because sis has been a principal of 2 schools, so she knows how to get down to the get down. So she called a meeting. She called a meeting while she was in Mississippi with Courtney, his mother, my aunt, my uncle, my cousin, the young man, and his mother. They all come over to my uncle's house. I am pacing the floors back in Indiana because I'm like, at this time, there was no FaceTime. There were no Zoom calls. We were talking about 2008. So there was no way for me to know what was unfolding in this meeting. Nobody was like, well, I'm going to put you on speakerphone. Didn't nobody do that for me. Kind of mad about that, okay? But they all having this little powwow, this little ponderosa, and I ain't at the table. So I'm back at home waiting for this meeting to be over. And for Courtney to call me or my mama or somebody to call me, the meeting was supposed to start at 8, child. We not 9:30. Jesus, what is going on? So I'm in here just, I'm distraught because ain't nobody called me. What is happening? So I would get a call and I would end up talking to Courtney that night, and he told me what had transpired, and it was some foolery. Indeed, the young boy produced the text thread that showed my cousin did exactly what he said. That my cousin, who I had spent majority of my childhood thinking was my best friend, my sister, like everything, my everything, okay? Sis was my everything. I loved her. I loved her so much. This was my first introduction to envy. I never had anybody to treat me like this. Like, I never had any conflict in my life with a female, ever. Like, never. My mama didn't raise me or my siblings, because it's 3 girls. She didn't raise us to be combative, competitive, any of that. We didn't argue in our home. She wouldn't allow it because she didn't want there to be favorites. She didn't want there to be hostility or anger or anything. Whatever she did for one, she did for all. If she didn't do it at all, she didn't do it for none. So it wasn't happening like that. And I didn't know to be like that with other women, other females. So I didn't feel like that for my cousin. So to find out that she felt like that for me, child, it touched your girl deep down inside. Because I'm like, why would you do me like this? Like, what did I do? You have a boyfriend. Why are you doing this to me and mine? And I'm long distance. Why are you doing this? I did not know. I did not have the tools to understand how petty females could be at the time, because I had no standard to go off of to think that this was normal. And it hurt me. It hurt me bad. And it changed who I was as a person. The innocence that was there, child, that was gone. That's when this Christian was born. When I started realizing people will do to you whatever they want to do to you. And you can do one or two things. You can ignore it, you can acknowledge it, and you can act accordingly. And so I had to become a reactor. I had to become a reactionary person because I wasn't prepared. I had not done the groundwork to assess whether or not she was a threat. I didn't know to think like that. And that's why I say words don't teach. Experience does. Because I didn't know that females could be like this. until this was presented to me by my own family. So I had to act accordingly after I talked to my husband. This was a Saturday night. By Sunday, I didn't know what to do. Again, my mother was still there and I'm still at home. I hadn't talked to her yet because she had to preach that Sunday. So I wasn't like I could get on the phone with her at 10 o'clock at night and rehash everything. Plus, she was staying at my uncle and my aunt's house, so she wasn't going to be able to go and give me the rundown on what happened. So I had to go off of what Courtney told me and all of that. All I know is this is what ended my relationship with my cousin, and I did not speak to her at all after that. I texted her that Sunday morning, and I said, what did I say to her? I said, we are no longer family. I will never talk to you again. And if I ever see you, I will treat you like a bitch in the street. We are not family. I will never talk to you again. And if I ever see you, I will treat you like a bee in the street. Just so we're clear. Because I may not have had the tools yesterday or last week to deal with something like this because I wasn't used to it. But after that night, I quickly tapped into the GI on the inside, the Gary, Indiana, which I didn't know it resided. And I was able to tell her what she needs to know. You are nothing to me. Nothing. You're nothing to me. Based off of what you just did, I don't need an explanation. We don't need to talk about it. We're done. Okay? Years of relationship ended because of envy. Years of relationship, let me find y'all the definition of envy. Ended over envy. Envy, definition, a feeling of discontented or resentful longing aroused by someone else's possessions, qualities, or luck. I wasn't walking around thinking I had anything worth being envied over. I was simply green about my first official relationship that my mama let me have. Even at 18 and 19, I still was excited that she let me have a boyfriend. Not realizing, girl, you're grown. You can do what you want. Your mama can't tell you what you can do. But that was the age of, back then, you gave your parents that level of reverence. And I did. Courtney was my first official boyfriend. He was the first person I ever went on a date with, ever got in the car with, ever called me, and I didn't have to hide the phone, ignore the call, sneak under a pillow to talk. He was all of that for the first time. So I was very green. And I am grateful now that it happened the way that it did, because that happened in mid-August. He would go on to propose to me, I believe. When did Courtney propose to me? I think he proposed to me like in October or November. He came and proposed to me shortly after that. He flew to Indiana, surprised me during church service. We were having a tent revival, child. Our tent was outside on our church property. And Courtney flew to Indiana, surprised me, and proposed to me. He had asked for my mother's hand in marriage. I had no idea that he was coming. My mother knew, tricked me, and he proposed to me. So this happened, and then we got engaged maybe like a month or two later. And then we got married 9 months later. So he proposed the end of 2008. We got married by April of 2009. And thank you, Lord, we are still married to this day. And my cousin is on her third marriage. Brought to you by Karma. No. Jesus is real, but karma is realer. Envy has no respect of a person. If you feel these feelings, touch your forehead, touch your heart, touch your mind, and realize you're not smart. There's nothing for you to envy of others if you can just go and find the happiness that you desire. I went through all of this and it had to open my eyes to what can be if you are not aware of everyone in your life. It doesn't matter who you're raised with. It doesn't matter what they're taught, how they're brought up. People are people. When I said that I decided to quit church, and that was my first video that I ever posted in 2021, whenever I posted that video, that was layered. I was being generous when I made that video about quitting church and only pinpointing certain things. But I have experienced a lot of things that it's taken me time to heal from, a lot of things that it's taken me time to mature and process through so that I don't bleed out on others. See, I can tell this story from a place of, I got a smile on my face. Like, I'm good. I've seen her. We've talked. Like, we're not cool or close at all. Our children are not raised together. I do not go back to Tupelo for any reason. I lived in Tupelo when Courtney and I got married, y'all. I had to move to the same city, a small city as them, and never saw them. Never went to their church. Never went to their house for Thanksgiving or Christmas. The relationship was irreparably broken. The place I went to for joy, fun, happiness, and all of my great childhood memories became my home as an adult and as a wife, and we did not share life. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that deep? That's a storyline right there. You grow up going somewhere your whole life, your whole childhood, and you saw it as your heaven on earth because Gary was dangerous. We couldn't play outside in Gary like we could in Mississippi and Tupelo. My mama couldn't just let me go outside in Gary and not wonder where I was, but I could in Tupelo. It was freedom. The place that was my freedom and my joy and my greatest happiness and experience in the world would one day become my home as a woman and as an adult, and I couldn't even share it and build adult memories with the same people that I had childhood memories with because of envy. So I'm going to tell you not to fear change. Be willing to stand up and make the change when you realize that there is a war against your peace. There's a war against your freedom. If you infringe upon my right to be happy, I will disconnect your ass like a light bill that you ain't paid in 30 days. Don't play with me. I am no respecter of person when it comes to you doing me wrong. If it's a choice between my peace and your feelings, you're getting cut every time. I do not feel sorry. I do not care. You have to understand that it's going to be consistently a you or them option. You or your children, right? You or your coworker, you or your parents, you or your siblings, you or your lover, you or your spouse, you or your pastor. Always choose you. It's not wrong. It's self-preservation. Everything after that will come together and you will be able to determine and decipher who's really worth your time. Had I kept that relationship going and ignored all of the red flags and never really went after the truth after that young man told me what he told me, I could have gotten married to my husband and be divorced by now. Because she would have been a snake in the grass that would have been allowed in my home and in my space, in my face. Had that young boy not came out and told the truth, that would have never been told. We would have never known. She would have gotten away with that. And I would have had her in my home, in my space, with my husband, to do whatever it was she wanted to do after that. That was just one plot that didn't go the way she wanted. But who's to say she wouldn't have had other plots and other ideas? You don't let snakes stay in the grass. When you see them, cut that ass up. Cut their ass off. Don't explain to nobody what you got to do. Don't explain your side. Like, I haven't had to explain my side over the years. I'm sharing this now because I just talked about jealousy in the last video. And I was like, oh, this would be a great story time. Plus, I'm over it. But I'm grateful that the genuine love and appreciation and the honor of the covenant of marriage that my husband and I made to ourselves has brought us here, right? 13 years married, 16 years together. And I didn't share that she's on her third marriage to be petty. Yes, I did. But it's just to let you see and know. Like my mother says, right always wins out. You're not about to do what you want to do to people. Not to good people. But the only way evil prevails is for good people to stand by and do nothing. I am not that good person that's going to stand by and do nothing. I'm that good person that's going to always speak up for me, even when no one else does. Yes, my mother was there. She was there, a woman of God in the meeting, called Reason. Courtney was there. His mother was there. But I still have to have my say for my life. I'm not laying down and letting you think you got away with it. You and I are no longer family. I will never talk to you again. And if I see you, you are a B to me in the street. I have always chose Christian, and I will always choose Christian, especially when it's against people who plan to make Christian a part of their story. You will not outdo me on choosing me. You thought you chose me. You're going to wish you had chose F, none of the above on your Scantron. And that was none of the answers. You got all of the above, but you ain't never had an F on your Scantron when you was doing your testing. It was always A, B, C, D, all of the above. But I'm an F. I'm an F you up. None of the above. Don't play with me. So that's the story. I enjoyed it. It was long, but I ain't had a long story time in a minute. But it was good. It was worth it. And these are people in church. I'm talking about a pastor, my uncle, God rest his soul, and his first lady. I'm talking about family. I'm not talking about people I heard about. I'm talking about people I love. People I knew. They know what they did too. And forgiveness is for you. All right. So it doesn't matter what you're going through or what you're dealing with. Check your heart. Know what you know about yourself. Do the inner working to free yourself from that. If you do not know how to treat people fairly, kindly, and with love and compassion, don't mess with people. Don't hurt good people. That is the lesson for today. Do not hurt good people. Leave people alone. But don't hurt good people. They don't deserve that. I didn't deserve that. But, whew, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. I've enjoyed sharing that with you guys. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever experienced any envious behavior or perpetuation of sick love, deviant love that people think they're saving you from something, but they're actually inflicting more pain than good. Whatever. I would love to hear from you guys in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I won't keep you any longer. Talk to you guys later. Bye.